Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make improvements in your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon, presented by 17 Hats. Hello and welcome to another episode. Today I am going to be chatting about placeholder marketing and procrastibranding. So all of those things that we put off doing because they're just not quite done. So hopefully this episode is full of a bunch of motivation to get the ball rolling and also a bunch of resources that can speed you along in that process. So I'm going to get into all of the details, but first let's take a quick break and hear from one of our sponsors. In today's episode, I'm going to be chatting about everything from logos to websites and a lot of areas where you might actually need some help if you're not super techie, which is why I am so glad that Balloon Suite is a sponsor of this podcast and an amazing resource for us as balloon professionals. The team over at Balloon Suite can help you get a website up and running. They can make sure that your customers find you on the internet, and they can take care of some of those techie things that might not be in your zone of genius. So check the show notes wherever you are listening to connect with the folks over at Balloon Suite so that they can help you out with some of your digital marketing needs. All right, let's jump right in. So today we are going to be focusing on two concepts that I have learned from Denise Duffield-Thomas. So she is the author of Chill and Prosper. She has an amazing podcast by the same name. I love this woman, but she talks a lot about placeholder marketing and procrastibranding. So this idea that we will avoid marketing our services because our branding isn't on point. So this idea that I can't possibly publish my website because my logo's not ready. And I actually can't get business cards because I don't have a website. And I can't get a van because I want to get the van wrapped and I don't know what my business colors are exactly. Or I should really be promoting for graduation season, but I don't have photos yet and I need to figure out what my packages are. Like, we can essentially convince ourselves that we're not ready to do pretty much anything. So instead of going that route, she recommends this idea of placeholder marketing, almost tricking our brains into taking action. So I actually just did this and I want to share what happened. So last week I announced the Glow Retreat. So this is the first in-person women's retreat that I've ever hosted. And a little bit of that procrastibranding started to creep in. Like, I never felt like I was going to be ready. I needed a better schedule of events. I didn't have a great logo. I wanted sharper graphics. I wanted to build out the website more. But I think I was so excited to talk about the event that I just launched it anyway. And something incredible happened and it sold out in a day. So I'm really, really excited about that. But I'm also glad that I didn't spend like 3 weeks getting my website perfect and getting my branding perfect and getting all of these Instagram posts ready to go, because in the end, it didn't need any of that. There were 13 women ready to sign up with that placeholder marketing that I put up on my website. So it was really this moment of realization that sometimes what we think we need to do in the name of branding is actually just us getting in our own way. So I was very excited that obviously the retreat filled. That was like the happiest day of my life. You should have seen me. I was like jumping around every time I get another registration. It was really, really exciting. But the other thing that I was excited about is that I didn't waste a ton of time on the front end developing graphics and logos and information that really wasn't necessary. I think if I had launched the retreat and no one signed up, then I would have gone back and added more information. But I'm glad I didn't, not move to launch because I was nervous about all of those details. Because again, we're very good at getting in our own way, and that sparked the idea of this episode because I feel like there's other areas of my business where I still am letting that procrastibranding get in my way. So I wanted to chat about that today and hopefully encourage you and give you some resources of how you can check some of those things off your list that you have been either avoiding or you just don't have the time to complete or you feel like what you have isn't good enough. A lot of times you don't need the slickest marketing materials. You don't need all the packages sorted out. You don't need to streamline to the point of, every detail has been worked out in advance. Sometimes you just have to move forward step by step and figure it out later. And another thing that Denise Duffield-Thomas talks about is that sometimes, like what happened with the retreat, you throw out some quote unquote placeholder marketing and it actually does the job just fine. And you don't actually have to go back and redo it. So the first area in my business where I have seen this lately is anytime I get a new item. So right now it's these marquee numbers. I just got a set of light up marquee numbers. But in the past, it's been like a new circle arch frame or these Shiara walls. Like anytime I get a new prop, I find myself not marketing them because like it's just not ready yet. And obviously that's not true. That's just like in my brain, like, oh, I'm not ready. I can't start selling these marquee numbers because like I haven't even taken photos of them and I haven't put them on my website and I haven't figured out the pricing. And again, the excuses just start coming. So one of the ways that I got around this is that I booked a studio. In my town, I'm very lucky that about 20 minutes away, there is a photo studio that you can just rent. So I just pushed myself to rent the space and figure out what I was going to do with it later. So I rented it. The day ended up coming. I was sicker than I've ever been, but I still loaded up my numbers. I drove to the studio. I took photos and I was done. I even got like cute little reels out of it. And because I blocked out the time to actually take care of those photos, now I don't have any excuse. And yesterday I went on my website and I started trying to build out a page for these number marquees. And once again, this overthinking and this procrastibranding got in my way. I was making things really complicated. I wasn't sure like how I was going to price them or was I going to rent the numbers without balloons or what was a price without balloons versus a price with balloons. And all of a sudden I started slowing myself down again. So I forced myself to get out of my way. I put photos of the numbers up on there. I just said $50 a number, right? Like $50 per digit. And for now, that is my placeholder marketing because I know I'm going to get questions. I know I'm going to figure things out along the way. I haven't thought about indoor versus outdoor. I don't know. I don't know the answers to the questions that I haven't gotten yet. But what I do know is that last night I got a last minute request for a balloon arch today and I upsold them a marquee number. And guess what? She didn't look at my website. She didn't ask about the price. She didn't need to see examples. She didn't even need to see those photo studios. But I was able to get out of my way and not allow the fact that I haven't figured out all of those details yet to stop me from upselling her. So that is how I'm going to treat my marquee numbers like from now on. I'm just going to look at them as potential upsells for people celebrating milestone occasions. So it's fun. It's like once you start rolling and not overthinking things, it kind of starts trickling out everywhere in your business. So here's another area where I personally am struggling. This is just one more example I want to give you. And it's graduation. I know graduation season is around the corner and I want to push these marquee numbers. I also want to have some standard items. I'm wondering if I should do the yard art again. I had good luck a couple years ago with these party poles, but do I really want to be selling $50 items? Like, I'm just not sure. And I want to have a beautiful catalog and I want to have something I can send people. But here's the deal. I've had 0 people reach out about graduation. So why am I spending time stressing about a graduation catalog if literally nobody is inquiring about graduation? So what that tells me is that I need to start reaching out to my email list to just let them know that it's time to book for graduation. I don't have to tell them what that means, what that costs, what's available. I just am going to take one baby step, send out some placeholder marketing, say it's time to book for your graduation party, contact me today. And then when those people contact me, I will figure out the details. But I have been feeling myself holding back sending that email because everything's not ready yet. I don't have the packages. I don't have everything sorted out. And the other cool thing about being in like a network of people, I'm a member of Mastermind. I'm also in a couple of group chats. And when you build up, actually, I should clarify what that is. Balloon Boss Mastermind it's a paid group that you can join, and you can get these resources that you might not have. So that is where I go to get photos of graduation balloons and like nice photos, right? Like professionally photographed photos that Joette, who runs the group, she has available for us. So I can actually go and grab some of those resources, throw together an email, and I'm off and running. Or I have some other friends where we have an agreement that sometimes we share resources, we share photos. Obviously, you don't want to steal someone else's photo that you don't have permission to use. But that's some of the value that you get when you are in a mastermind group. So we'll link to Balloon Boss Summit if you need some of those resources. But again, all of this to say, if I just do some digging, I actually have everything I need to put together graduation marketing. So I've just been getting in my own way, making up excuses that I'm just like I'm not ready. And I'm not a perfectionist, so if you are a perfectionist, I would imagine that this is even worse. There's always an excuse not to hit send, not to hit publish, not to hit print. But if we get past that, there's money waiting on the other side, which is really nice. So where are we actually going to, move in our business? What's the call to action of this episode? I would say that for me, it's sales. My procrastibranding always comes out when I'm pushing a sale, but I know with other people, it comes into the more brand specific things. Like maybe you don't have any professional logo wear, like with your, when you wear to installs, you don't have a shirt for your business because you don't like your logo. And you don't have business cards because you don't like your logo, or you don't have a decal on your delivery van because you're going to change your name of your business and blah, blah, blah. Like everything is temporary and everything is changeable. And what I have learned is that a lot of times the stuff that you think is just a placeholder is good enough. At the end of the day, no one really cares about your logo. No one really is going to look that hard at your business card. Nobody is really going to study a brochure that you have printed and you drop off at a venue. So force yourself to take action on some of those things now so that you have the opportunity to improve them later. Otherwise, you're always just going to be stuck in this world of non-action, and that is not where you make a lot of money, right? It's taking action and it's doing something rather than nothing that is going to start moving the needle in your business. And once I started thinking about this, just since last week, once I started thinking about this after that retreat, and it was like, oh my gosh, I felt like I needed to put so much more energy into that marketing stuff. I'm so glad I didn't. Now I'm kind of on a roll. Now I'm identifying all of these areas that I've been putting off in my business for so long because I just felt like they were going to be these massive projects, and they're really not. Like another area was my website. I know I needed some work, but I didn't know how big of a project it was going to be, so I've just putting it off forever. And last night I spent probably about an hour moving things around on my website, making some tweaks, and I'm almost done. So these projects that seem insurmountable, a lot of times really aren't. Okay, I want to take a quick break because I want to shift gears away from the actual marketing visual procrastibranding, and I want to talk about some of the ways that we are getting in our own way in our shops, actually behind the scenes, and how we are making things. So we'll take a quick break and then we will hear about some of the tips and also resources that I have used to get out of my own way when it comes to actually selling and making balloons. A huge thank you to our friends over at Having a Party Wholesale for supporting this podcast and supporting us as balloon professionals. Head over to havingaparty.com to check out your one-stop shop for all things balloons. They have all the colors in all of the brands that you could ever want, but they also have professional tools that we need as balloon decorators, from inflators to framework to weights, you name it. They have it. They even have a special 5% off promo code for listeners of this podcast. So when you head over to havingaparty.com, use the code BRIGHT at checkout to receive 5% off your order. All right, welcome back. In the first half, we focused more on kind of the marketing side of our business, all of those things that we use to get in our way and slow us down when it comes to branding and marketing, website, logo, all of those type of visual things. However, I think there is a whole other side of this conversation, which is how we actually run our business. I think there are systems that we avoid putting in place. I know that I did for a very long time because A, it feels overwhelming, and B, it feels very permanent. So the first thing that I want to talk about, and I also have a resource, is a menu. I implemented a menu for my orders probably about 2.5 years ago at this point, and it was a game changer. It literally changed the speed at which I was able to sell balloons and also the clarity of what I was offering. I don't know why it took me so long, but I was so against a menu. I felt like it was going to box me in as an artist, but it has been the best. I have a visual menu showing actual pictures of balloons I've created that I send to customers. They can see it on my website. You can see it on my website. I also send it in the autoresponder email when they fill out my inquiry form. And it's a very simple menu that quite literally shows everything I sell. So it shows columns. It shows organic columns, classic columns, specialty columns. Then it shows arches. It shows my narrow arch, my standard arch, and my extra large arch. Then we move on to backdrop installations. It shows my circle frame. It shows a wall, other things in that category. And then we go from there. Same with helium balloons. Everything I sell is in this menu, and it's all examples of past work. So now, does it limit me? Yes. Is that a bad thing? No. Because I think the word custom, the idea that everything is custom, that should be reserved for the people with like $5,000 or more. Unless people are dropping some serious cash on balloons, you shouldn't be customizing. Like, you're changing the color, you're changing the logo, you're changing little things here and there, but that doesn't mean it's custom. Something that's custom is like a sculpture, right? Like something that you are going to build just for this person. There is no column that should be custom. There is no sort of arch that should be custom unless it starts, really morphing into something special and sculptural. Otherwise, you should have pricing for a standard arch, a classic arch, an organic arch in a bunch of different sizes. That just helps so much. And I personally think seeing it like a photo, I'm a very visual person. So if someone tells me a 20-foot arch, I have literally no idea what that means in my mind. Versus someone says, this is what a 20-foot linear arch looks like, and I see it in front of like a doorway. If I'm a buyer, I'm like, okay, that sort of looks like the size I need. Yes. So having a menu of what you offer located somewhere where you can actually send it to people, whether that's on your website or as a PDF, it doesn't have to be crazy fancy. That is something that you should start working on. I actually have mine available for purchase. We will link to that. It is a menu that you can simply have. You can use it. And then again, use it as your placeholder marketing to get out of your own way. And when you have a photo of your version of a standard arch, you can drop that in. It's a Canva template, so it's all editable, but that way you have that placeholder marketing. You have my photos, you have my verbiage, you have, my colors. But eventually you can change them to your verbiage and your colors and your pricing. But at least this is a starting point so that you can move forward and have a menu. Along that same vein is the idea of a color chart. This has been the other thing I implemented that has absolutely not only saved me time and stress, but it has saved me so much money. It's made my business very profitable because I'm not tempted to buy all the things, all the colors. Every time there's a new color released, I don't order them, because if it's not on my standard color chart, I don't keep it in stock, which means that if someone needs something custom, it literally is a custom order. I'm ordering those balloons for them. And I do that very rarely. I have, I don't know, maybe 40 colors on my color chart. That's enough. That's enough for 99% of clients, and it speeds it up. And the other thing that's cool about the color chart I have is that it's multi-brand. I use mostly Qualitex colors, but then I have a couple of preferences that I drop in from other brands. I have them all on one sheet because it's way too confusing to send my clients the Qualitex color chart and the Tuftex color chart and the Sempertex color chart and have them picking from all of those different colors. They don't need to choose from 50 different blues, right? Like 3 blues is enough. So I've combined them all into one color chart, and that is also on my website. I also have that available as a download. So if you need a color chart, you can use mine, or you can build your own using this Canva download, which I will also link in the show notes. So those were 2 things that I just avoided doing for so long because I couldn't find the perfect look, the perfect solution, the perfect way to make it editable, right? Like I was getting in my own way. And in the meantime, I was making things way more difficult for my customers and also for myself. So I now have done the work for those 2 items, for the menu and for the color chart. So if you feel yourself procrastibranding in these 2 areas, you can use my downloads as your placeholders. So, those are available for purchase. They're not free, just want to clarify. But those links are available in the show notes if you are in need. Those are just 2 examples of ways that we actually can get in our own way in terms of like the physical shop aspects, not just what's on our website, not just the branding and the marketing, but we get in our own way in terms of sales as well. And having the color chart means that I also only carry those balloons in stock, so I have a more streamlined inventory system. I have a more visually pleasing balloon wall because they're like in rainbow order. I know what's missing just by looking at it. It's really streamlined more than marketing. It's streamlined my actual productivity in my shop. So those are just 2 ways that I used to get in my way. I finally got out of my own way. Are they perfect? No. Will they ever be? No, but everything is changeable, and as soon as we can get out of our own ways and know that something is better than nothing and that everything can be updated at a later date, I feel like there is some freedom in that, and honestly, there's money in that. Like that is what is going to make you a more competitive salesperson than your competition down the road. The fact that you just are moving along and not waiting for everything to be perfect. Another area where I really got in my own way was email marketing. For years and years, I avoided doing email marketing because I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what it should look like. I didn't know what platform to use. And about 3 years ago, I just got out of my own way and started sending emails. And I wasn't super consistent. I would send like 1 a quarter. And were they great? No. But guess what? I started building an email list and my customers got used to hearing from me. So now I try to do them every other week. Sometimes I miss one, but that's okay because we're not going for perfection. We're going for action. And you know what? I committed to MailChimp all those years ago. And guess what? I did have to update. That was a placeholder email marketing system. I did eventually move over to Flowdesk, which I'm really happy with. It's Flowdesk.
But I feel like we tend to think that everything is permanent, right? Like we don't want to pick an email marketing platform because is it the best one? Same thing with a CRM. Like, what if it doesn't work for me forever? Well, probably nothing is going to work forever, but something now is better than something later. I'm not saying don't do research or just be hasty in your decision making, but I know there's so many of us that have these never-ending to-do lists, and we're just, quite frankly, never going to get to everything on it. So doing something is always going to be better than nothing. So that is all I have for this week. I wanted to keep it short, and I wanted to keep it hopefully motivational. As you're listening, I probably touched on a few things that you've been avoiding doing. Maybe it's your graduation sales. Maybe it's sending an email to your customers. Maybe that's something you've never done before. Maybe it's your website, like it's done and you just have to hit publish, but you're too scared. Like, just do it. Just take action on one thing that you have been putting off in the name of Procrastibranding, right? Like it's not perfect yet, so I can't hit send, I can't hit publish, I can't cross go. Just do it anyway and change it later, because it might be like me with the retreat and you might realize like, oh my gosh, what I have was totally good enough and I'm glad I didn't waste any more time procrastinating and overthinking and overanalyzing. Take some action this week, and I hope you see some results and some payoff. So those resources that I mentioned are in the show notes, and I will be back next week with another episode. Really quick before we go, I just wanted to mention one more area where you might be procrastinating, and that is implementing a CRM. It is a big project, but it is totally worth it. I use 17 Hats, which manages all of my project and client information. So I am never losing time searching through DMs or emails looking for customer contact info or event details. It's all in one place right on 17hats.com. So if you are a mess like I used to be and you need to get something in place to help you organize your business, I wholeheartedly recommend 17 Hats, and it is always a great time to join. Well worth the investment. It is the only reason that I am able to manage all of the logistics in my business by myself. It is built for service providers like us, and small businesses are the heart of everything that 17 Hats does. So check them out today using the link in the show notes. Thanks for listening. As usual, I tried to keep it bright and light. If you are interested in bonus episodes, check out our Patreon group where I release an additional episode every single week, and you unlock more than 50 archived episodes as soon as you join. Check out the link in the show notes wherever you're listening.